Hello and welcome to yet an amazing season of the Great Debaters Contest. I'm your host, Chris Boru.
And I'm Esperantia Kapanga. And this year it will be bigger, it will be better, and it will be much more educative for you at home. So starting us off is Kiambu region.
We have Thika High School and St. Anne's Lioki debating about a contentious issue, poverty, that's really affecting Kenya and even Africa as a third world country.
Yes, and the motion today is poverty eradication can only be achieved by offering quality education. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes.
Knowledge is power. But what use is this power if it's not applicable? Betty Mehakimbua from St. Anne's Lioki, ready to propose the motion that poverty eradication will only be achieved by providing quality education. So we start by asking ourselves, what is poverty? Poverty is the state of being poor or the state of lacking something. What is eradication? To eradicate is to destroy or get rid of something completely, especially when it's something bad. Quality is something of a high standard. And education is a kind of training and learning, especially in schools. So in this education, we need education that provides the learners with the capability that they require to economically develop and sustain livelihoods and improve their well-being, especially holistically. So, poverty eradication involves the strategic use of tools such as education, economic development, health, and income redistribution to improve livelihoods for all people. So my question will be, how will we improve this economy if we don't have education? How will we provide quality health if we don't have quality education? How will we be able to distribute income evenly, equitably, if we don't have this education? So on to my first point. In order to eradicate poverty, we need to be able to provide quality education that will give the learners skills that are applicable. We have a case in Kenya that we have so many people who've gone through education, but they're complaining that they've lacked jobs. We have people that have A-, degrees, masters, but they're out there, they're suffering. If this education were quality, we would have them be able to come up with ways to even give themselves employment and not wait for someone to come and offer employment to them. We would have them be entrepreneurs. We'd have them come up with ways to earn a living without depending on the government giving them jobs. If we had this quality education, we would improve our agricultural methods. That we would increase our productivity in Kenya. That we will be able to provide for our own people. We will also be able to even export because of this quality education, that will come up with methods of farming that are efficient, that are working for us. But currently, we have lands, we have the climate, but really we don't have the education to enable us. Africa is not poor not because we don't have the resources, or the climate, or the talent. We only lack skills to tap into this talent, and this is why we need people from outside who are better educated or who have quality education to come and tap into our resources for us. Thank you.
Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes also.
Poverty eradication can only be achieved by offering quality education. No, I disagree. See, poverty is more than lack of income and resources. Poverty entails lack of basic needs and services, including healthcare, security, and education. See, and quality education entails having both boys and girls getting equal opportunity to access this quality education. And quality education can also be measured by acquiring skills and the know-how from vocational training centers. You say that education is the only way, quality education is the only way. See, poverty has been the cause of a half of the dropouts from school worldwide. followed by armed conflicts. Poverty is right now disadvantaging quality education. And then you tell me you use quality education to fight poverty. It is at the moment fighting quality education. In addition to that, the enrollment in primary schools in the countries that are coming up has reached 91 up to 2015. But 57 million children in the world are still not educated. You still want to stick with quality education. Look at this. You go get that quality education, then come out to this world of ours, where for you to get a license to start your own entrepreneurial ideology business, you have to pass through so many offices where you're exhausted, your money is taken. They are still pushing you back to poverty. You're saying that, Betty, you said that improving agriculture is helped by quality education. See, how do you improve agriculture while in Africa, agriculture doesn't even have a farm base? What we need to do is first invest in agriculture and then go get the quality education to improve this agriculture. Look, you took care of educating the people. This person is educated, yes. And then he comes out to this world, and then he gets this mentality that the society has. The society has a very, very, very poor mentality to people who get, let's say, vocational training. First of all, let's change the mentality of the people, because you will come out here and then people will look down at you because the skills you have are not enough to them. But to you, you got quality education. Thank you. I rest my case.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you. My name is Faith Obunga from St. Anne's, Lioki, proposing the motion that says poverty eradication can only be acquired if we improve with quality education. So, you're saying that agriculture cannot really be based on education. Do you know that how did the USA develop? How did Britain develop? I believe you've heard of the agrarian revolution. That was the base that made Britain develop. That was the base for industrial revolution in Britain that made Britain the great country it is today. If agriculture is not so important, why is it the backbone of our country, Kenya? Do you know that Kenya, we really fail, not because we do not know, but because we just take things so for granted. We have poor technologies that are used in agriculture, and we do not want to change that. We want to improve. You want to invest in without skills. How is that investment really going to help you? Another problem that causes poverty in Africa and the rest of the world is terrorism. I'll use an example of Kenya. The police intelligence is not well equipped intellectually to deal with the terrorists because the level of technology the terrorists use is higher than what we really have. It's higher than what we can really try to eliminate. Do you think the Boko Haram in Nigeria would have managed to kidnap 200 girls and reduce the government into begging for the girls to be returned home? If they had that intelligence, wouldn't you think that the government will have been very well equipped to deal with what the Boko Haram had presented them? Do you think that we'll still be fighting Al-Shabaab in Kenya? I mean, the Al-Shabaab caused so much trouble, and yet they come from our neighboring country, Somalia. And what have we done? We've always been fighting them. The fight is ongoing. Is it really ever going to end if we do not really educate the police? Do you think that the USA would have captured Osama bin Laden had it not been for the level of intelligence they use? I'll talk of brain drain. You know, in Africa, because of the poor level of education that we really have, most of the students finish high school in Kenya and they go to overseas countries to acquire quality education. After that, what do? After they go out there, they go to Harvard, they go to Oxford. After they have acquired that quality education, they decide, you know what? I think this country is better than my country. There's no need for me to go back to Kenya, where I'll only receive 10,000 shillings for what I'm doing. I'd rather stay in USA, where I'll earn 10 million shillings for what I'll do, where I'll be qualified, where I'll be paid for my work. Please, let's see that education is the only way we can eradicate poverty. It's the base. Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
Poverty eradication can only be achieved through quality education. I'm here to strongly oppose this motion. My name is Steve Gadhuna from Thika High School, here to oppose. On to my points. Industry innovation and infrastructure. The human mind is one of the greatest tools we have as human beings. It's actually what makes us different from monkeys in the forest, which are our cousins, by the way. We have a mind that can create things, that can do things. I'm going to give you an example. Sandra Boone was a woman of color in the United States. She was a slave, but she saw one of the most, it's a very small task that happens in our households, and that is ironing. She looked at the way ironing was being done and saw that there's a need, there's a need to do something to make this work easier. She was a slave, mind you, so she didn't go through quality education. She invented the iron board. Rather, she made it better. So we are using a tool that has been made by somebody who didn't go through quality education. We need to look at the gap, the 9% that is remaining in this world, those 57 million children. For us to completely eradicate poverty, let's tap into their talents, let's tap into the skills that they have to be able to get out of this situation of poverty. Let's look at good governance. Betty, the first opposer, you talked about people going through quality education and not getting jobs. What you didn't tell us was why aren't they getting jobs? Let's look at this way. Good governance, the policies that have been put in place are not enabling people who have these skills, this quality education, to be able to use them. They're not applying them. The carpenter, he's going to a vocational training school. He still doesn't have a way to implement his skills. He can't start a workshop somewhere. Why? Because the policies are too stringent. They're pulling this guy back. So he'll still remain in that quagmire of being poor. Let's also look at our talents. We have people who are talented, people who can sing. Personally, I can't. But they have skills. They can use them to get themselves out of poverty. This 9%, where is it going to go? We'll also look at the poverty rates worldwide. Here we are saying that quality education is improving, that enrollment is at 91%. But mind you, the poverty rate is still increasing at a rate of 5.2% globally. So what is this telling us? That even though we are investing, we're putting in resources into quality education, we have schools, people are able to go to school in the marginalized areas, they still have poverty. We still have poverty at an increasing rate. This is a problem. We need to examine it. We need to look at where the issues are going. Thank you.
So the proposers have been asked whether by mentioning Boko Haram and Al-Shabaab, are they insinuating that terrorism is a major branch of poverty? And the opposition has been asked whether they are aware that the government is currently incorporating cultivation of talent into the education system, and if by saying that we need quality education, if they know that that is what is happening in the country currently. Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question and bring any rebuttals to the table.
Peninato from St. Anne's Lioki, strongly proposing the motion that states poverty eradication can only is the key word, be achieved by offering quality education. Now, to answer the question that was passed on to us, yes, indeed.
terrorism is a cause of poverty. When we have frequent terrorism attacks in a certain country, you as an investor, would you be kind enough or even be willing enough to sacrifice your own company, go invest there, then have what? Your property destroyed, losses that you will suffer? I don't think so. Now, I think it is quite evident that we will never eradicate poverty without provision of quality education for all. You know, today I like the setup of the stage. I mean, we have the Sustainable Development Goals. It's quite amazing that you have not focused on that. Let me remind you, the first Sustainable Development Goal set by the UN for all nations in the world is no poverty. The fourth one is provision of quality education. What is the point of having the Sustainable Development Goals in the world? We want to make our world a better place for you and me. We will do that by having no poverty, and we are linking poverty to lack of quality education. Now, you spoke about food production, and I will speak about food insecurity. It is a fact. Food insecurity and poor nutrition is due to poverty, yes, and unequal distribution of resources, natural resources, but it is also due to insufficient knowledge of production methods and on nutritional facts. The second opposer say that indeed poverty is a problem that we need to look into in our world. Indeed, it is a problem. And how do we just solve that? Provision of quality education. When I speak about quality education, I mean education that will not only build you in terms of books, the formal education. I'm speaking about education that will be able to nurture you as a whole person. Speak about your character, your leadership skills, your skills in terms of relating with other people, your ability, your talent. Yes, it will tap into your talent. That is what quality education is. Let me tell you, 171 million people in the world could be lifted out of extreme poverty if all children left school with the basic reading skills, just basic reading skills. That is equivalent to a 12% drop in the total world, in the world as a total. We're speaking about basic reading skills. What if we nurtured their talents? We nurtured their leadership skills? Don't you think that will be just more than 12%? Oh yes, indeed, it would. Provision of quality education will help us eradicate poverty in the world. Thank you.
Person number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer question and give any rebuttals.
Provision of poverty eradication can only be achieved by providing quality education. Can only be achieved by providing quality education. That is what you are trying to say, our proposals. Can only. Mind you that to provide quality education, the government has to be involved. For Kenya, mind you that Kenya has adapted to the new system of education, the one China is using, the one Luxembourg is using, the one Qatar is using right now, that has very zero rates of poverty, has very low rates of poverty. But for this to happen to Kenya, we have to involve the government. So quality education cannot work only as you are stating it. It has to be backed up by government support through efforts such as giving incentives to entrepreneurs, offering them low tax rates, promoting their businesses and enabling them to achieve what they want to do without going through the many procedures to start a business. Mind you, joblessness, unemployment and overpopulation is one of the causes of poverty in third world countries. So entrepreneurs basically need a lot of effort and support in this particular field. But where will they get this support if the government is against them? The government should be involved for quality education to work through. Secondly, gender equity. We need to promote gender equity. It's only recently that women now could get driving license. Only recently. There before they were not allowed. So the man was the only default person who could earn bread for the family. Therefore, if we could empower the woman so that he could raise to the income of the family, what does that do to poverty? It removes the family out of poverty. only recently also did we have women in Saudi Arabia being able to vie for presidential seats and leadership roles. So it means that the government has to be involved, and therefore, by proposing the motion that quality education, poverty eradication can only be achieved by by providing quality education, removes government support and gender equity. Therefore, the motion cannot be proposed. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to wrap up your case.
Lack of education impacts on every one of our goals, the SDGs, and contributes to achieving a safe and healthier and more prosperous and equal world only if we have this education. Quality education is holistic, as the third speaker has said. According to the worldwide partnership, if education systems improved in the world, there will be an increased performance in innovation, inclusion, and financing, which will equal to 30% reduced levels of poverty in the world. Please, let us not complicate things. If you say you want to improve your talent, if you say you want to that Kenya wants to introduce another education system, it's because we have learned leaders who have actually studied outside Kenya, and they've just come back and said, you know, the education system in Kenya is insufficient. I want to introduce new education system that will ensure Kenyans get quality, that Kenyans will be able to achieve their goals and eradicate poverty. That's why the system is being introduced, for no other reason. Let us not complicate our lives by everything that you're going to say. Everything goes down back to education. Education is the only way out. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute to wrap up your case.
Quality education is the only way we can eradicate poverty. I'm not looking at it that way. If you look at the Standard Development Goals, there are a cool 17 of them, all with 169 aims. They all aim to something. All I'm trying to say is that quality education is one of the ways to eradicate poverty, but it's not the only one. You still need other things. These skills you're giving people are going to the universities, they're getting out with doctorates, PhDs, but what does he do? He comes and rots because the policies, what is there, what the governance that is there, they're not able to use these skills, they're not able to get themselves out of quality. Part of these sustainable development goals, we have development in agriculture, we have good governance. Let's look on those areas too, so that this 91% of children that are already enrolled in school, we make sure it's 100%. The other 57 million also get a chance to improve themselves. I would also want to finish by saying most developing countries are getting quality education. Mark you, developing countries, that's in Africa and the like, and we're still poor. So we still need something, we're still missing something, and this thing is good governance and the use of policy as well. Thank you.
The first debater, Betty, that was a good start with the definition. I must first of all commend the team, at least you're good speakers, all of you, so that was commendable. But nonetheless, I have to point out a few things so that at least we can make ourselves better. Your coherency of argument, that means how just to understand you at some point was quite startling, and I could tell there was a bit of a struggle, but at least you picked it up. So that was checked in by the judges. But the question for you was purely on the definition. What is quality education? Because that was the biggest emphasis. That was the main part on the definition of the part of the motion. But I want to acknowledge the third speaker. That must be Penina. Penina, you came across as a very strong speaker for your team. In fact, I must call you the muscle of the team because of what you did. And that was commendable. In fact, I would want to request the audience to give you a clap. Please, appreciate her. You defined for us the motion, you defined the terms, and even gave examples of what quality education would be by giving us the skills, leadership, training, and the likes. that was the role of the first speaker, for us to demystify for us so that at least you can build the steps for the team. And I think because I'm addressing Penina, you're a good speaker. I love the fact that you addressed the Sustainable Development Goals, reference to SDG 1 and 4. That was very much commendable because this is purely under SDGs.
On the opposite side, I was so impressed that you gave us several examples of unemployment being one of the reasons. You also talked about overpopulation, and as Judge Maina had mentioned, you also talked about good governance. So I feel like you really understood this motion and you brought it forth. In terms of energy of the speakers, I felt like there was a bit of a wave. There was an up and a down, and I think next time you just need to find a way of ensuring that you keep that energy at one level so that we don't notice that this speaker is like this and this other speaker is like this. However, Steve, I was quite impressed by your submissions, and when you came forth and I was listening to you, and the first thing that went through my mind is I hear your voice and I can hear your passion. I see your face and I can see what you stand for. So that was really, really good, Steve. And I wish both teams the best.
So without further ado, with 69 points, our winners for this debate, we have St. Anne's Lioki. Give them a round of applause. With Thika High School, 63%. Congratulations, guys. Thank you so much for watching the Great Debaters Contest. Remember to keep the conversation going with our hashtag GDC4SDGs. Until next time, stay tuned.